So Garrick Jones is going to join us here right away. He's loaded up and ready to go from Houston. Lynch wanted his football resume, and I thought for your benefit and for ours and everybody else's, Garrick Jones from Little Rock, Arkansas, played in the NFL with the Jaguars, CFL with the Blue Bombers, back to the NFL with the Chiefs and Houston Texans, where he spent the most time, Atlanta Falcons, into Canada with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, Calgary Stampeders, and Edmonton Eskimos. And now he's in Houston doing all kinds of things. And when we were there in last year, about a year ago at this time, he was on our program down there. And he's got the campaign to be the next general manager of the Houston Texans. The Kabish joins us from the great state. How you doing, Garrick?
I'm good, man. It's good to be back, man. How are you?
I'm really good. You look like $1 million. What's the deal with the whole technical setup? Clark said, get ready for this. It looks great. You bring in some pros or what?
Well, the thing about it is, man, is I do so many of these calls and so many interviews. I wanted to step my game up to be ready for you guys, man.
Well, it looks amazing, so thank you for doing that. Before we get into all those topics that you heard us talking about before the break, the Texans hung one on Detroit yesterday, 41-25. What was your take on the game?
Man, the fellas are playing for each other. They're playing inspired. It's a lot of life in the organization. Realistically, man, we're about 4 or 5 players away from being annual contenders, man. A lot of people are talking about this rebuild situation, and I don't use those type of words. The guys are going to go out and play hard, but it's just all about the culture and rearranging that thing a little bit and doing some remodeling, man. So that's what I look forward to having that opportunity to get in there and just show them what I can do.
You know, we were mentioning earlier on that Danny Barrett was getting in the face of Duke Johnson, the running back there yesterday. Can you tell me Danny's role with the Texans and how well thought of he is? I mean, obviously he's a Bill O'Brien guy. He's a holdover. What's Danny's role, and where does he fit in there in the future, do you think, for the Texans?
Well, I mean, it's about mentoring. It's about giving the guys, your wealth of knowledge. And the more that you can have in the building, the better. And I think that's one of the things that he brings to the table. I mean, he's been around for a number of years, a few leagues. And anytime you have that wealth of experience, it's a plus. So, for him to be able to have access to the guys that are currently playing is really a good thing because he gets to pour into them. And that's exactly what they caught on camera, man. He was pouring into him. And the more you can get those guys motivated and get them thinking about the things the right way and just really being focused on the game instead of all the outside noise and the chatter, that helps. And I mean, he's a good guy, man. He's a really good guy.
He's an amazing guy. And as a matter of fact, I think, on this day in 2006, the Riders and Danny Barrett parted ways. His contract wasn't renewed. And I can tell you right now, his life went phew. But with his 5 kids, I think he was pretty worried on that day 14 years ago. So what a lesson there is in that. Lynch is dying to get to some questions for you, Garrick, but let me just ask you this. I'm following this campaign really close to what you're doing, and it looks like you're making some headway to be the next general manager of the Houston Texans. How are we feeling about it?
Man, I feel the same way when I first started it. I've always been a guy that could see the stairs when other people couldn't. I've always been a guy that, as far as, changing people's minds and flipping people's thought processes of me, that's all I know how to do. That was how I made it to the league. I had to make them respect me and respect my hustle, respect the fact that I was consistent. And that's exactly what's been going on, man. There's not a candidate out there that has a grassroots situation like myself going on. And you have to look at it, man. I've been realistically interviewing for the last 9 months, while other guys have just been sitting around. And I've had the opportunity to meet some really good people in regards to fans that are now my friends and their family now. And they really get it. And they understand that, you have to have some type of ties to the organization, and you got to be able to show that passion and people buy into it. Otherwise, you're just another guy coming to collect a check, and we don't need any more of that.
Go ahead, Lynch.
Okay, John Lynch here, Garrick. Good to see you there. Billy Brown, you're talking about the former coach.
Billy O'Brien,
pardon me. The former coach there who pulled off one of the stupidest deals ever in football, giving away the receiver last year to Phoenix. And then talking Mrs. Blair into him getting be the general manager and the PR man as well. I mean, he loaded himself up. I guess they finally got on to him because that team wasn't doing a thing without him. So I think a guy like you, with your experience and looking at you, is exactly what the Houston Texans need. And I'm not trying to get you to give me a free ticket or anything when I get down there.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
What would you?
Yeah, man. I mean, that's the thing. Yeah, no, it's about leadership. It's about people that can come in and really paint the picture of the vision and everybody buy into it. And it's one singular purpose, in teamwork aspects and in football. One of the things that I've learned that it didn't matter what you look like, where you came from. We had a singular purpose, and that's the driving, motivating factor that needs to be there. And everybody in the building has to have that. And I don't think that has been the case for a number of years. And realistically, it's time for a Houston Texans identity. You know what you're getting when you go play the Steelers, or you know what you're getting when you go play the Ravens and things like that, or even in the CFL. You knew what you were going into when you were playing Edmonton and you were playing other teams. And that's the identity that I don't think that they've had. And the fans are really, they're really vocal about, their level of disdain for the organization. So what I wanted to do is just jump in front of those bullets and just let them know I wanted to be a voice for them, and just connect those dots. And I mean, when it comes down to talent evaluation and analytics and all those things that, teams are really starting to really get into, the biggest thing about having a general manager is he has to be a leader. And he has to know a little bit about everything, but it's about hiring the right people and bringing them in. And then we make that history that other people read about, man, because it's championship talk at this particular point. If we're not talking about championships and Super Bowls and Grey Cups, that's a conversation I don't want to be a part of. And that's just what it is.
Garrick, when we were down there a year ago, it was a bucket list to get to Houston, and it didn't disappoint. It probably exceeded it. And one thing I noticed was with yourself, Karan Williams, Jackie Mitchell, Don Narcisse, Cortez, I really noticed what a hub for football Houston is. So I got to think that you, as a CFL alum, must be following what's going on in the CFL. What are the guys saying down there about the fact that there was no season in 2020? They're talking about spending to the cap floor in 2021, trying to jerk around the players, it would appear. Some are calling it collusion, blatant collusion. What's the word down there about what the CFL is going to do coming back?
Man, I think for the most part, everybody that has the opportunity to play there, which is a lot of guys. I mean, the guys that are in the NFL right now, the majority of those guys have cut their teeth in the CFL and back and forth, kind of like, what I did. So I've been able to keep up with it, man. And right now they're scrambling, trying to figure out the next step and how to continue on with the CFL legacy. So anytime you're really, from what I've seen, it's the level of preparedness. It's kind of like how Peyton Manning said it, there is no pressure. And pressure only comes when you don't know what the hell you're doing. So in this sense, with COVID coming the way it did, it really exposed a lot, of the good things and the bad things in the organization. So I think for what they're going for, it's going to be a shot in the arm. There's going to be a lot of sacrifices that's going to have to be made, especially in all these organizations, whether it be the CFL, the NFL, or whatever the deal may be. The salary cap structures, all these things have to be rethought. And it's something that should have been done in the first place to where it's advantageous for all parties involved. So I'm praying that the CFL can get it right. And it's a lot going on, man. It's a lot of just throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks. And hopefully we can make this thing right to where those athletes are in a good spot, and that the people that are in the building are in a good spot, and that the fans, because the fans spend the hard-earned money, and the fans need sports. The fans need it. And for COVID to happen the way it did, we just want to get back out there and get to playing and do it the right way. So I'm praying that the CFL does get it right, but it's going to take a lot of work, man, across the board. And I'm praying that they get it right, man, because I want to see the CFL continue, because this year was hard for everybody. I was looking forward to some CFL games this year.
You nailed it, Commish. All right, Frenzy, what do you got?
Okay, I think your Phoenix team, or your Houston team, is a pretty good one. Deshaun Watson, terrific quarterback. Fuller, a great receiver.
Right.
Some pretty good linemen in the defense and offense. Pretty good running backs. Pretty good football team there, and I don't think your previous general manager did anything for that team at all. And as a coach, too, destroyed it. Where is he now? I mean, guys like that should be barred, shouldn't they, from anywhere? I mean, he hurt that team. He hurt your team.
Man, you know what? And I think the fans hold that same regard that you do. I really don't know where he is, to be honest with you. It's one of those deals where, they parted ways with him. And realistically, man, it needed to be done a lot earlier, because the guys were playing for each other. And when you have guys that have to rise above coaching so many times during the season, it takes so much out of them. and for, I think, that dark cloud to be lifted, that was really good. But there's still work to be done in the organization, and that's why I'm fighting like hell to get back in, because I have a vested interest in the deal. I was a part of the '03 group that after the inaugural season in '02. So I got a chance to see it from the bottom floor, and I don't want, our blood, sweat, and tears to go in vain. So for me, the vested interest aspect of it, being a guy that's been here in the city forever, and the city adopted myself and my family, this is it. This is home for me. So when you look at bringing in other guys, Houston may be an option for them, unfortunately. And that's how they're looking at it. Like, if I don't get the job in Atlanta, or if I don't get the job at this other team, I'll interview for the Houston situation. And that's not what you want to bring into it. So when it comes down to what, the situation with Bill O'Brien and everything that he had going on, I think the absolute power led to absolute corruption in his case. And he painted himself into a corner. And when that happens, you'll get enough rope to hang yourself, for lack of a better terms. And I think that's what happens. But this is business, man. This is what have you done for me lately type of atmosphere when it comes down to professional sports. And you better had brought something to the table and been productive and took us up to the next level. And that's where we need to go. It's about, not only getting to the playoffs, but actually getting deep into the playoffs. And then from there, like I say, it's championship situations, and we have to talk that talk, and we have to walk that walk, and it's time. I don't think that they'll bring a candidate in the room that will be able to bring what I'll bring to the table in regards to the business know-how, the knowledge of the game, and then actually being a player, and then everything else that comes along with it, man. We got a nice little group of guys that are calling me on a daily basis that have been successful in football operations at the CFL level and the NFL level. So I'm looking forward to bringing my team in and like I say, man, turning this thing around because the city needs it and it's time.
Just a couple minutes left with you, Garrick. For one, Jason in Red Deer, Alberta writes, "This really is the best video I've ever seen from a guest. It looks like an ESPN documentary." So you might be getting people knocking down your door, Garrick, on how you're doing it. Might be led by me. A fun question, sort of fun for us, not fun for NFL coaches. Jamie in Halifax, Nova Scotia wants to know how many more games will Matt Nagy last in Chicago, where our guy Hank is the quarterback's coach, Henry Burris, as you know.
Right.
I'm going to just tweak that a little bit. Who do you think the next coach fired will be in the National Football League? Because the list is growing as to who probably should be.
All right. Man, it's hard to say. I think out in Chicago, they're having a rough go of it. And this is a productivity business. You think about the players when they come in. If they're not getting it done, there's always somebody coming through the door that's going to replace them. And eventually, if you are getting it done, you're going to train your replacement. Because there's always somebody younger and somebody cheaper than you. So in the coaching carousel. And in that upper management carousel, it should be the same type of atmosphere. It should be a culture of accountability. If you're not getting the job done, we have to go in another direction. And I think that that's going to happen for a few coaches. I mean, I'm thinking about Matt Patricia. I'm thinking about Nagy. I'm thinking about a few guys. And organizations are at this point where they're not in this thing to lose money. And COVID is really exposing. If you were able to make the adjustments in regards to the protocols, in regards to practice, in regards to being able to be flexible enough to get out of your old school ways and get on and virtually coach, it has exposed a lot of these coaches. And I think there's going to be a really big shift when it comes down to, the next regime. And it's needed, man. It's new blood is always needed at this particular point with the NFL. And I think they're starting to get it. Because as a player, man, when I played, it was always about the buddy boy system. Okay, I know this guy, I'm going to bring him in and we're going to recycle guys. But I think that they're getting it. They're starting to get it now. So, hopefully I can lead that charge, man. So we'll see. But Chicago and that Detroit situation is pretty rough right now.
Real quick, how's your boy doing? Did he get into college? Is he playing? How's he doing? And has he got bigger than you yet?
Oh, you talking about my son?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Man, no, he's going to the 9th grade, man. He's in the 8th grade now, so he's around 6'2". He's around 6'2", 235, playing DN. He finished his 7th grade season with about 14 sacks. So, I'm working with him. I'm bringing him along slowly, man. So he'll be ready here in a moment.
6'2", 235, elementary school, Lynch. Figure that one out.
How about that, eh?
All right. Well, I am following, but I need to follow more closely. Garrick, good luck, my friend. Keep in touch. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy holidays. I have a feeling we'll be talking before then, but thanks for the time.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it, man. Thank you, guys. Y'all have a good one and be safe.
All right. Thank you. You too. The great Garrick Jones, the commish.
Yeah.
From Houston, Texas.
He's the ideal candidate for that job, and he is.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
He's got the know-how. He's got the charisma. He's got the smarts. Come on, Texans, do the right thing.
Too talented, eh?
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.